This isn't a review. This is a story. A story about why this truly is a legendary truck. And before you say it, let me say that Toyota hasn't paid us money to say any of this, because if they did, I might not have told you that the backseat is terrible, the ride reminds me of a bouncy castle from the good old days, and the infotainment looks like it's from the good old days. Then there's the incredibly heavy steering, the impossibly long length of the entire thing, and where are my ventilated seats, my sunroof, my 360-degree cameras? But that's not what we're here for, because this isn't a review. This is a story. A story of a name, and there's very few car names that fill you with such a vivid picture of what to expect. The toughness and indestructibility we expect from Toyotas has come from the Hilux. Toyota is Hilux. But what is Hilux? Well, it's just a combination of two words, high or high and lux or luxury, which is actually a bit confusing because when the Hilux was first launched in 1968, nor was it very high on performance or on luxury. And that's why Toyota just called this the Toyota truck in the United States before replacing it with the Tacoma that was not only more high on performance, but also more luxurious. But what the Hilux was simple, tough, well-engineered. Even today, the Hilux isn't known for its ground clearance, its horsepower, or the size of its loading bay. The Hilux is known simply because it can get through really tough situations without really making a fuss about it. Sure, you will get a few dents and scrapes, and this car actually has its fair share of them because the tail is long and it does feel big on a narrow trail. But for decades now, the Hilux still promises one thing. You will get to where you want to go and you will make it back home every single time. The Hilux is as dependable as the rising of the sun. But of course you know that, everyone knows that, and what you know is that this thing was built like a tank. But did you know that it beat a tank? Over 300 tanks, in fact, overturning a war in the process. Yup, it's literally called the Toyota War. Chad, a country in Africa, was being invaded by Libya. And the Libyan army, they had the numbers. 8,000 soldiers, 300 tanks, and many rocket launchers. But the Chadians were organized. While the Libyan army was dazed and confused in foreign land, Chad's soldiers struck back with help from the French, who gave them 400 Toyota Hiluxes kitted out with anti-tank missiles, which ultimately won them the war. Because when the going gets tough, the tough get a Hilux. And this is the very same Hilux. It's bigger, more comfortable, but it's still not what you'd call luxurious, at least not in the traditional sense. The cabin looks and feels dated in most places. It's missing a ton of features, and refinement levels are definitely not what you'd call car-like. But the luxury here has a bit of a different take. The window switches, for example, are perfectly damped. They are perfectly clicky, and they will continue to be that way a few lakh kilometers down the line, no matter what those kilometers entail. And then of course there is the luxury of knowing that no matter what obstacle lies in your path, the Hilux will flatten it. And if you want help conquering the rough stuff on your SUV, Apollo's Aptera 82 tires with their multi-directional tread pattern and sawtooth shoulder design offer all-terrain capability, matching the rugged toughness of the Hilux. Speaking of which, there is other luxury inside, like the air conditioning, which cools the cabin in minutes, even after the car's been parked out under the summer heat. There's also a little pickup truck on the recirc button. It's a small touch, I know, but it is those small touches that make the Hilux what it is. A Hilux. Over time, I've started to really appreciate authentic cars, or in this case, an authentic truck, because the car scene these days is a lot like social media. There's just too many influencers, cars that are trying to be things and sometimes SUVs that they're really not. The doom scrolling is replaced by big screens on the inside to just distract you and make everyday life a little bit more bearable. The Hilux is different. It's not trying to be something that it isn't. The bouncy ride that is very uncomfortable on the road is just telling you, let's get out of here. Let's go and have fun. The slow, heavy steering, which is a pain to live with, is smooth and precise on a trail when you need it to be. Everything is purpose-built. It is authentic, and I love it. And then there is the engine. This 2.8-liter diesel is brilliant, and it is vocal, but it is a familiar voice as well. Of course, the 1JD FTV, as it's codenamed, has done duty in both the Innova and the Fortuner. And because both these cars are used across the country to travel the country, usually with someone important in the back, that sound of the engine is like the voice of an old friend. It just puts you at ease. I know it sounds like I'm trying to sell the Hilux to you. I'm not. If you've got just 40 lakhs to spend on one car, this should not even be close to the top of your list. It's too uncomfortable, too big, too expensive for what it is and what it offers. But for the few of you who have a space left in your garage for something that is authentic and money burning a hole in your pocket, douse the fire with this. Because on those days that you just want to get away or just want to get a pure, unadulterated experience, you will appreciate it.
For the joyride, I'm a champion. Move aside.
3, 2, 1, action! Was being invaded by भाई बहुत फट रहा है ये the good old days. एक हाथ पॉकेट में रखता हूँ यार, वो कट जाएगा ना सेकेंड एंगल से. As the rising of the माँ की आज ऑमलेट नहीं बनाऊंगा, तहल का ऑमलेट बनाऊंगा. ये ले बेटा था ये, है ना?
Go for the joyride, I'm a champion. Move aside.